So I'm Mushegh. I'm the CEO and founder of Dowork.ai. At Dowork.ai, we are building AI agent orchestration platform for small and medium enterprises to automate their customer service, basically at least the 90% of the workload. The way our technology works is quite simple in one hand and quite complex on the other hand. So it's simple because our customers, basically they plug in their data, starting from website or any other internal content they have. Our AI agent learns based on this data. Second thing, they select the skills they want to incorporate. And that's it. Now our AI agent can talk to their users, customers, automatically answer to any customer questions, and based on the skills, follow some company objectives. Like, for example, our agent can automatically qualify potential leads, or it can do technical assistance with bug troubleshooting, and so on. And finally, companies get overall analytics on what type of questions they are usually getting from their customers, so they can make data-driven decisions to improve their business. So the main component of our platform is the large language model we use behind. We use large language model to analyze the content companies connect, and we use large language model to generate answers in a natural way. And you can imagine that for some companies and for some use cases, the data might be private, and companies, they don't want to share with any third parties, even with companies that provide LLM solutions. So for that purpose, we started working on a kind of on-prem solution. So our solution with private LLM can be deployed on customer side. So no data will actually leave the border of customer infrastructure. And to do so, we needed to use open source LLMs, because nowadays for businesses like us, it doesn't make sense to train foundation model from scratch. So what actually we need to do is to take one of the open source models and fine tune for our needs. And as you might know, even fine tuning and inferencing, which means like running LLM, is not easy as well. You need a lot of GPUs. And this is the reason we joined Intel Liftoff. They helped us to learn even how efficiently fine tune the model, how efficiently inference. And what is also important, they provided as a hardware to do so. So actually we could easily go and fine tune and run our LLMs easily without the hassle to go and find GPUs. To start easy, we started from a smaller model, because at the end of the day, we need a big model, but it will take more time and more resources. And to be an agile, we decided to start from a small model so we can actually learn. And the main purpose of this fine tuning is not to get a production ready model, but to learn, to understand like bottlenecks, challenges, and overall get expertise on this. And when we did it, we succeeded by fine tuning it, and it was performing quite well, not ready for the production, but we learned a lot of stuff during this process, how we should prepare the data, how we should, let's say, optimize the algorithm, and etc. At the same time, what we learned that we kind of proved that it's better to go with larger models, because the problem you have with smaller models, like large models, usually solve this problem. And instead of like spending your time trying to fix this by yourself, it's just better to follow the field and see how LLMs are evolving, and actually kind of use these LLMs by deriving all the innovation the team that trained the LLM brought in, instead of going and doing it by yourself. Because we as a company, we are not a deep tech company, actually. We are a product company. We are good in building product. We are good in solving customer problems. And we decided from day one that we are not going to spend much time on building or training foundation model, but learning how to use existing ones so we can be fast in the market and we can really focus on customer needs rather than technical challenges, because there are many great teams that are doing this. And so based on this learning, we decided that we will stop fine-tuning by ourselves and we'll just use the existing ones. And I think this learning saved like months of our work. I think the most important thing we do, and probably every startup does and they should do, is iterating. We are not creating like big product roadmaps. Instead, we are delivering and talking to our customers, learning, applying this learning, iterating, delivering another version, and so on. And this kind of does two things for us. First, we always build something that people need. And second, when you build something, you can easily and immediately test it. So this is very important. Like getting the feedback is important. And when you get the feedback before building something, and you build and then kind of test it, it makes the company more productive, because now you don't have these idle periods. And I think this strategy is super important. It's hard because as an engineer, you love to create features, right? You want to add more features. But the problem is sometimes what your customer needs is not what you think you need to build. And the best way to make sure this is continuous process, you need to do two things. You need to build and you need to talk to your customers. And if you keep doing this, most probably you will always be on track and you will be always improving your product, and you will always use this insight from your customers to improve your product. We learned that in the beginning, we were a very horizontal solution. Like we were handling different use cases, and basically we were a solution for companies to connect their data and use it for multiple use cases, like for internal use cases, for employees, for users, for customers, like kind of building chatbot, generative AI chatbot for your data. But what we learned during this time that, as I mentioned, as a product company, we need to create tailored solutions. And to be able to, as a startup, to be able to create a tailored solution, you need to have focus, and you need to focus on one use case, one customer problem. And that's why we decided to kind of go from being horizontal to being vertical. And we started working on customer service use case, because this is what we learned from our users, from our customers. This is where we saw the demand, and also we did the research and understood that even seems that customer service is kind of crowded market. I mean, customer service solutions. But we realized there are a lot of interesting and challenging opportunities that as a company we can handle, rather than go and build something that most probably will be replaced by these giant companies that build and provide like different LLM solutions. Actually, we got this idea during the fine-tuning process, and we applied, and it worked successfully. The problem was that we didn't have this big data. We had small data, but what we did, we were able to synthesize the data. So, like, I'm bringing an example. We were able to go from like 10,000, let's say, data points to 100,000 data points by synthesizing the data. And what we learned that this approach can work very well if you need more data, especially in fine-tuning. And the good thing that you can use existing LLMs to synthesize this data and prepare it for your fine-tuning. I think that this was interesting finding, and we shared this within the Intel Liftoff community, and I think many other from other startups, many people like this idea, and maybe even they applied. I don't know. Yeah, this is a very good and important question. During this time, we had another discovery, which actually kind of made us to work on a specific technology that we recently built, and we call it STAN. Actually, the idea is that in almost in every LLM-powered application, there is a technology or methodology is used for kind of retrieving the data and providing to LLM called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So instead of like training LLM on your data, what companies do, they use this RAG mechanism to kind of, let's say, index the data. They actually vectorize and store in a vector database, and then they use different RAG mechanisms. They use vector databases to pull the most corresponding data to customer question and use this chunk of data to generate the answer. And what we learn, especially for our use case, because sometimes you are getting, as you mentioned, very complex inquiries, like this standard approach doesn't work well because either it hallucinates or like if you want to make your kind of solution more creative, yes, you are absolutely right. It starts hallucinating. If you just make it more like kind of straightforward, then there is no creativity and the answers are very kind of incomplete. But also, if you are asking very specific questions about like specific data, usually this mechanism doesn't work because it actually selects like the top result based on your question. Like, let's say you want to build AI agent for restaurant menu. And now you go to the restaurant website and you ask a question to the agent, hey, like, what's the, let's say, cheapest option for the lunch? I mean, or like for this type of questions, this methodology will not work well because it can easily do aggregation. It can't easily compare prices. And most probably it will like provide some answer, which might be wrong. And what we decided to do, and we're already testing it, it seems it works pretty well. We decided to create a new technology that first, it analyzes your data, it extracts structured data out of this raw unstructured text. It creates a database based on your data, structured database. And when you ask a question, it generates a query. It goes and queries the data from this database and use this data to answer the question. And now even your LLM is super creative. It still has very precise specific data to use, so it will never hallucinate. Like this technology allows us not only to provide better answers, but it also allows us to make the process explainable. You know, like usually the biggest problem with LLMs, you can't explain why it generated the answer in this way. It's not an explainable process. But with our technology, even the last part, which is like answer generation in natural language, might be not explainable, but the whole process on how it, like what type of data is being used, why this data is being used, or what operation our technology run to get this data is fully transparent, and you can see, and you can explain, you can understand, and you can fix if needed. And I think this technology now allows us to provide good answer even for very complex inquiries. And we believe that with this technology, we can really make changes in many, many industries. One of our customers, they have a very broad usage, and their customers obviously work, live in different countries, in different time zones, and they speak in different languages. And obviously, before Dowork.ai, all these customers had to kind of communicate in one language. And for some customers, it's not like easy, it's not a good experience. With Dowork.ai, we solve this problem. Now, first of all, Dowork.ai is available 24/7. When customers from another total different time zone, like 9 hours or 12 hours difference, ask a question, now they don't have to wait for 12 hours. So the customer support specialist will be online and respond to the question. Now customers, they ask a question, they get the answer immediately, And if it's a like technical issue, if it's a bug report, our agent will collect all the necessary information, and then it will generate a ticket containing all the information which might be needed for the further investigation. And now it already has the whole solution for you. So in this way, we save time for both sides. And as I mentioned, this happens in your language. You can communicate in your language, and the customer specialist or the company can communicate in their language. Now with Dowork.ai, businesses can expand to other markets easily, because hiring people is not easy. Hiring people in different time zone is not easy. And hiring people speaking in different languages is not easy. And with Dowork.ai, companies don't have to hire people for this boring job, because usually customer support, 90% of the job is boring, right? Because you are getting repetitive questions. Usually the answers are somewhere in your knowledge base, but because customers are busy, they don't want to search and read, they just want to ask, which is totally understandable, acceptable. But as a company, it's not easy to answer to everyone when at exact moment they ask a question. But with Dowork.ai, it's possible. And now customer service is not boring anymore, because now customer service is not about answering the simple question or even complex repetitive question, but really solving like the big problems that as a business, every business has still like problems to fix in a daily basis. Is totally fine. But now you can focus on this like kind of more creative part of your job rather than doing this repetitive routine work. So kind of we make happy both sides.